North Carolina politics for 2 years, which means I don't know a lot, my network is not very deep, and therefore what I need to do best is leverage those who do. And by the way, that's kind of what I'm good at, right? And I'll give you an example. Someone had asked about my military background and how does that convey to being the chair for North Carolina Democratic Party. I'm an infantry officer by trade, which means I was trained originally to shoot stuff and break things, and then lead people to do that and organize them to do that. What I don't know how to do is, I don't know how to fly an aircraft. I don't know how to refuel a tank. I don't even know how to order an oil filter for a Humvee. But what I am good at is managing all of that stuff. So for example, I was put in charge of an exercise with 4,300 Marines and sailors, men and women, out in the middle of the desert for a month. We had hundreds of millions of dollars of equipment, none of which I really know how to operate, or not very well, right? But they put me in charge, and I ran it. One day I'm going to the bar, and I see a Marine sitting in the dirt. He looks absolutely dejected. So I sit down in front of him and start asking him questions. After about an hour and a half, I come to find out that I needed to put him on suicide watch. So I handed him off to my senior enlisted, and then what happened from there is that we took his weapon away, he was assigned a buddy, and we sent him to a psychologist. The reason I tell you this story is because leadership matters. Leadership that listens matters. Leadership that pays attention matters. For those of you not familiar with the Marines, it is extremely rare for a colonel to sit down in the dirt with a lance corporal. Your average lance corporal after a 4-year enlistment may not even see a colonel. Thank you, ma'am.
Eva?
I so appreciate the visual cues. I truly do.
Yeah, but if you do the
I'm going to read bits of question number 4, because we're going to take the entire 2 minutes to read the whole question. Let's see. How would you utilize Number 4, how would you utilize the North Carolina Democratic Party's finance committees? Under 8.05, state finance prepares annual budget, 14 members, and 4.03, 3 sustaining fund co-chairs, 8.03, 3 fund committee, fundraising plan and goals to raise funds necessary for voter turnout within the congressional districts. So one of the hats that I wear is as a forensic tax attorney with a master's of law in taxation, and I like reading federal election committee reports, state election committee reports, and over the last couple of years, I have read most of the district's finance reports. So I know how to read a finance report. Right here, to turn out within the congressional districts, I mean, yes, we have to raise the money, okay? You need excitement to raise money. You need engagement to raise money. And you have to know what you're raising it for and what you're doing with it. I don't personally feel that the party utilizes its capacity to support federal candidates. Plain and simple, it has to change. Plain and simple. The 170 seats, I know there's thoroughbred races, but ladies and gentlemen, there are 170 seats, and no one of you is better or worse than anyone else, no matter where you live. Look at the map over there. Leave no voter behind, leave no district behind, leave no precinct behind. So ladies and gentlemen, yes, we may not have 2 billionaires rolling through North Carolina. Maybe we will for 2024. We have to raise money based on our performance. Okay, I've been disappointed when they pull up the treasury report and they don't really tell us where the money goes. I've heard things, I can't verify them, $80,000 spent on consultants after 2020 to try and do morbidity and mortality and make people happy after 2020. So that was $80,000 maybe, I don't know the real number. Why don't we even know those numbers? So ladies and gentlemen, if you want transparency and financial literacy within the party so we can educate the voters and we can get more people like Dee Adams. Dee Adams knows how hard I worked to help congressional candidates in the last couple of cycles. Thank you.
Thank you. Alon?
I know Ms. Adams is going to check. I know you're going to check. We need that around here. We need some checks. Which we talk about money, we need checks. I'm gonna do, I feel like question number 2, question number 3, what would be your approach for raising money for both large donors and from grassroots donors? I think the candidates have said a lot of what I'm gonna say. In order for us to raise money, we've gotta have exciting people to run the races. In order for us to raise money, people gotta feel like their dollars are actually going towards where they say it's going. In order for us to raise money from both large donors and grassroots donors, they want to attach themselves to winners. In order to raise money from large, I don't know what happened to it. I don't know, just question switch. In order for us to raise money from large donors and grassroots donors, they have to know you. And I think that's critically important. If they don't know the candidate, if they don't know your chair, if they don't know your precinct chair, if they don't know your county chair, why am I going to drop dollars? If they don't know the fact that most of our money from the county and also state comes from the PAMs that we have the sustaining funds from, that we have to rely on people who actually go to the PAM, that actually have to like drop X amount of dollars per precinct. I think that, if they knew that, then I think we would have a better opportunity. The other thing I want to say is this. We have a lot of people who are above us that control a lot of the big money. And unfortunately, I ain't scared of not one of them jokers. And I ain't gonna be no pawn for none of them jokers. What we need is transparency, we need honesty, we need humility to know that, hey, this is the reason why we haven't won. And so, listen, it comes from all of you in this room. If everybody in here donated, and in their network they donated, and in their network donated, then we could build what we need to build. Thank you.
Thank you, Levon. Anderson? Deborah, I'm told that it doesn't make any difference online what we do, so we'll just leave the lights on. Anderson?
Okay, cool. I'm also going to go with number 3. What would be your approach for raising money from both large donors and from grassroots donors? I don't think our party has an effective strategy right now for how to bring in small dollar donors into this party. I think that we need one, and we need to diversify the ways that we are bringing in money right now. For me, I worked on a United States Senate race. Amy McGrath raised $96 million into the state of Kentucky, right, against Mitch McConnell. We need to bring or modernize fundraising methods into this state party, and that needs to be something that we do from across the country, because I believe that North Carolina is a state that is sellable. We need to have a tour where you're going across the country, honestly, and having house parties in places where North Carolinian operatives are working right now, because they're not back in North Carolina currently. We have folks and we have the connections at the national level. I have donors that I want to bring back to this party that have contacted me since I've launched this campaign, and they've been very excited to get involved and to see me doing this right now, because they understand the need and the desire to have a state party that works. What Levon said is true. Donors want to know where their money's going. The ROI right now, we haven't seen it in the state of North Carolina. When you're giving money to the state party, you don't know where it goes at the end of the day. And we do not have that transparency within our organization right now to show us that. And we need to. We need somebody that's going to provide us that clarity and let us know here are the areas we're going to prioritize and we're going to invest in. And we need to be honest about it. And we don't need to let people know that they're being deprioritized. We need to say, here's what we know we can win right now. And that's the democratic message that we need. We need to be able to win. And we need to invest our money in places where we know it is smart, in candidates that we know that are going to actually do and use it correctly, I think, and making sure that we have a plan that works for everybody, especially for our counties and districts and everybody else from the bottom up. That's what I want to do in this party. Thank you.
Thank you, Anderson. Bobby?
Thank you. As your county chair, as your state chair, I have worked at the department organization for 4 years, and I have been engaged in fundraising. And there are different buckets of fundraising. There are the DSCCC fundraisers, there are the congressional contributors, there are fundraisers from PACs, there are fundraisers from small group donors, there are fundraisers from mid-group donors, and everybody is raising money at the same time. One of the things as a state party chair is that you must have relationships with people from whom you are asking for money. They must know who you are, they must know what you're going to spend the money on, and the thing that we need to understand is that Money is targeted for certain activities. For example, the year-round organizers was a funder's dream, and he came to North Carolina and said, if you start a year-round funding organizing program, we will fund you. People get upset when we have money in the treasury because we cannot spend that money in any category or any way that we choose to. When we get targeted money, that money has to be spent on that particular item. We also have had an issue with even our SEC members in North Carolina do not fund their own party. We had 118 people to fund our efforts for 2022 out of 500 people. We are also eagerly coming up with all kinds of activities. We have done the block party, we have done the bricks, and we are going to individual donors. I have called donors and they said, I just dropped $50 million with the governor. Can you give me 2,000? So everybody is raising money, and we are there, and I have a relationship with the DNC and ASDC, who has brought some money into North Carolina that we would have normally not gotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Dottie. The next area of questioning is messaging, and we're going to need to be quick. Dee Dee, thank you again for keeping time. That brings some discipline. Eva, if you would pick one of these questions, read it out, and answer it, and you've got 2 minutes.
Obviously, the question for me is question number 4. What is the core Democratic Party message, and how do we communicate our message to motivate and persuade voters? This is all I talk about all the time. Imagine, if you will, waking up every single day, and instead of having to hear what Fox News daily talking points are, you wake up to, these are our talking points of the day. A simple sentence, a hashtag, a tweetable moment, a Facebook post, and all of us from our 22 caucuses with hundreds of chapters, our 14, maybe like 25 U.S. House candidates, whoever's getting on the party bus to run for anything, anywhere, and they are dialed in to a coherent, consistent, palatable message, not reactive rhetoric. I am so sick of reactive rhetoric. I am telling you that I think it was last year, I was so delighted when Governor Cooper, in his little brief 1-minute message to the North Carolina Senior Democratic Convention, used the hashtag that I had picked. It was like, Seniors Go Blue 22. And Governor Cooper said it in a little video. It's little quips like that that motivate and inspire. What's Jack Jackson going to say tomorrow? What is Josh Stein saying today? That's what we need to know. We need to be dialed into our hot, sexy candidates, our reason to extra, our what are we doing today? Which gala are we having? And it's just not that hard. It is not that hard. There was a lady doing Friday packages, weekly wrap. I'm just saying it wasn't moving me, but I will move you. That's all there is to it. We just have to build it, and they will come. Like, make a hashtag.
All right. I'm going to choose number 2. What is the role of messaging in motivating under 45 voters and voters of color to vote and persuading boomers to vote Democratic? Well, I fit 2 of those categories. I'm under 45. I'm a person of color. How do you persuade me to vote? It can't be more than just coming to my door on election time saying we need to go vote, and here's why we need to go vote. People who are under 45, it's a different dynamic now. We stand on the backs of the boomers. How come we're not connecting boomers with the 45s and others to explain and understand? We need to be changing how we message through technology. But here's the great thing about it. I think it goes back to what you just said. There is no better way to persuade somebody to vote than to actually go meet the voter, to actually meet them where they're at. It's more than just knocking on their door, but where do they work? Where's that big pocket at? Why are we not talking to the kids who are in school that are the first-time voters? That's a whole pocket of voters that we have now lost because we almost forget that they exist. People of color are tired, sick and tired to being used for different type of messaging, and that's for both parties. So change it. You gotta change the messaging. Your vote matters because you matter, and because the things that we're fighting for are the things that you need to provide your family and to help set off the next generation. You need to fire them up. And we can't fire them up by sitting on the sidelines and just watching. We fire them up by going over there and talking to them, put somebody to the side, mentor them, hey, come vote with me today. That's how we do it. And we lean on the backs of the folks who've been there. For somebody who's a woman that's still knocking on doors, I'll give you all the credit and respect. But how about we take somebody who's under 45 with you? So when you get a little bit exhausted, they can go ahead and carry it the rest of the way. That is what we need. Thank you.
Thank you, LaVon. Anderson?
I'm going to choose number 4 too. What is the core Democratic Party message and how do we communicate our message to motivate and persuade voters? I've talked to hundreds of people across the state in the last 3.5 weeks, and I think we are all questioning what the core message of the Democratic Party is. I know what it is. It's caring about people. That's why I call myself a Democrat to this day, because this party values the people of this state and of this nation at the end of the day. And it's about showing that. And it's about talking about it, and it's about educating our own communities of what that really looks like. And right now in rural North Carolina, we have a message. The bipartisan infrastructure bill, the American Rescue Plan, is delivering money into our communities right now. The Democratic Party has said, rural areas, rural communities, we believe in your ability to live and exist 50 years from now. It's your job to go to your city councils and your county commissions and ask them where your money's going. In rural red counties, we have a message right now. The Affordable Connectivity Program is $30 off of folks' internet bill a month, and that got here because of Democrats. Don't tell me we don't have something to go out and knock these doors with and canvass with right now. We do. Helping people access the programs and the resources that the Democratic Party at the national level is providing us right now. And we need to transition that and take that and provide that as local resources to counties and to districts. Every county and city across this state got $2 to $3 million each, more than that depending on what your county size is in this state. And people need to know that. Our Democrats need to know that, right? You need to know about the policies and the programs and things that Democrats are doing and how to educate and talk to your folks about that, because that's what's going to win us back seats. Having people that actually care in this party and showing that. The Democratic Party never left rural North Carolina. We stopped messaging to it and we stopped talking to it, but we never stopped caring about people in it, and we need to say that. Thank you all.
Thank you, Anderson. Bobby?
Thank you. I think I'm going to follow up with the same question that was just answered, because all of the things that were just said, we did communicate those things to every county in the state. We had press release in rural North Carolina. We had press release in urban North Carolina. We had press release in Charlotte and Durham and all the surrounding counties. And each time that we went out, we said, the Democrats finally have a message. Let's tell our story. Because for so many years, we had not been able to celebrate anything from the Democratic Party. We sent out these emails, and I would get people calling me and saying, we don't get any messages from you. We haven't heard from you. And then when I talked to the party chair, they would say something to the effect, well, I didn't know I was supposed to send it out to everybody. I thought it was just for me. So we have sent that message to you time and time again. We have come out and talked to you about these appropriations that the president has made, and we have given you talking points. We have had training on them, and it is a difficult thing to do because funding is really hard, and some people don't have internet. But we have put the message out there, and we have asked you to share those messages. And we will continue to talk about the things that have happened. Deborah Ross had a television broadcast the other day and talked about all the millions of dollars that she has brought into Raleigh, North Carolina. The message is there. We've got to learn to share it with everybody that's on the SEC and also with our families and with people that we see on the street, because everyone was lifted up from the pandemic, resolved all the way down now to the fact that we do have infrastructure that is going to lift up our communities, and we are getting broadband in our rural areas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bobby. Eric?
So I'm going to read a different question, and I'll explain to you why. What is the proper balance of the NCDP and the candidates in persuading and motivating voters with the Democratic message? Part of the reason why I picked a completely different question is because LaVon pointed out, if you get 5 Democratic candidates up here, a lot of us are going to kind of say the same thing, and then how do you differentiate between that? So I'm going to give you something different. Go back to what Jonah said. If you want a different result, do something different. I'm something different. So let's talk about this. NCDP messaging and candidates. How is that going to work? So part of it is going to be symbiotic, right? Our job as the party is to get people enthused and help get out the vote. We didn't do that. Not as well as we should have. So let's keep going. Keep doing more of what we were successful at and expand upon that. Then the candidates, we need to leverage them as well. Everybody's got a different level of charisma. There's oodles of charisma all throughout this room, which I've really enjoyed listening to and hearing from. We need to leverage that and capitalize on that kind of charisma. And the person who took the cake, at least for me, watching this last election cycle, I saw Jeff Jackson post on Facebook, "Hey y'all, I'm gonna go out for a beer." 500 people showed up, right? Yeah, that's the kind of enthusiasm we need to generate. If you want to get out the vote, get people like that out in public, help bring your friends, people you know, and drive those folks together. That's what's going to do it. Then, some of those candidates, we need them to go after some of the right-leaning folks and try to persuade some of those folks over. Some folks are going to be more effective at it than others. But a lot of that's going to be about how we do our messaging. And if we can do this together, we will be stronger together, and we can win together. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. The next subject area is members and mechanics. And I believe, LaVon, you choose the question, read it out, give us your answer.
All righty. I think this is the last section, right? Folks,
Yes, you raise a good point. Once we do this, we're going to take about 10 minutes for you all to write down questions that you have on the papers that are in front of you and pass them forward. Obviously, we won't get to all of them, but we'll pick maybe 3 or 4 of them and go on, time permitting. I don't know how much energy y'all have, but this has energized me. So, LaVon?
all right. I want to choose number 1. So this is a little bit long. These questions are a little long. How would you describe your leadership style? What do you consider the top 3 responsibilities of being chair? What experience in your professional political life will help you be an effective NCDP chair? And I appreciate the question. My leadership style is simple. It's collaborative. It's very much collaborative. We have a saying in basketball. This is the Tar Heel State. I'm a Duke fan, but don't hold that against me. Oh, Lord. We have a saying in basketball. Good teams are coach-led. Great teams are player-led. We are all players on this team. The only way that the chair, who's the voice, can be great or look great is if the team looks great. And I believe in that. So what are my 3 responsibilities? One is complete transparency. I am not the type of person to run away from the hard questions. I'm the type of person to listen to dissenting opinion, collaborate together and formulate an opinion. Then, two, my job is to help build up a great team. The executive team has to be great. If the executive team has our own different opinions, it's not going to work. They have to buy into the vision of the executive group, which will be in charge of that. And the last thing is bringing energy to the base. That's my job, is to be the spokesperson. Right now, you got somebody who's a lieutenant governor, ridiculous that he could possibly even think about being in the top spot. And what the difference is, and I've said this about Democrats and Republicans, sometimes Republicans will say what they want to say and not care about your feelings, and we sometimes as Democrats are too sensitive about what we are going to say. So in order for us to fight the right, you gotta step up to the plate. And you gotta have a spokesperson who ain't afraid to get into the fight. And I'm ready to jump 2 feet in on that. And my experience as a teacher, I teach all kids, students, from all walks of life, gay, straight, black, white, brown. It does not make it. I'm sorry. I didn't see the 1 minute. I apologize.
I'll tell you, I was just getting inspired and it got cut off. I'm so sorry. Rules are rules.
I didn't see it. I was really low.
Anderson,
Yeah.
good luck.
Oh,
Nah,
God.
she's got all the tools.
I am going to answer a different question, though. I am going to go with how will you recruit and work with the next North Carolina executive director, because I believe that that is the priority, honestly, of the person that is the next state party chair, is to appoint the executive director and to work with that person to hopefully have a national search for that person. We need to bring national experience to the state of North Carolina, preferably from someone that is from this state originally, but I'm hoping that we can find someone, I know that we can, with the experiences and the tools and the resources and the connections nationwide that we need really in that position. I think that the executive director is a role that everyone in this party should be able to look at and say, I agree, I had a hand in selecting that, my voice was counted in that process. Because right now we have not had that so far, and that's something that this party desperately needs I think accountability and transparency on, to be honest with you all. That's something that we've lacked for a minute. And so I really want to be able to work with this person to bring a grassroots organizing strategy, a year-round approach to this program and to this state, because that's what we desperately need right now. And we need an executive director that is going to value organized labor in this state. Thank y'all so much.
Bobby?
Thank you, David. How would you describe your leadership style? What do you consider the top 3 priorities of being a chair? What experience in your professional or political life will help you be an effective NCDP chair, or what helped you be an effective NCDP chair? I think my leadership style in this arena is a democratic style. It's a style where you listen to people, you take in their point of views, and then you make decisions based on that, and you include everyone. We are a democratic body, and therefore we need to practice a democratic process. The responsibility of the Democratic chair is to hire an executive director. That is the primary responsibility. That person has to be one who communicates well, who can organize well, who can manage people well, who knows budgets, who knows how to keep us out of trouble with the FEC and the Board of Election, and also is one that communicate between the different branches of our leadership team. We also are involved with the delegates from each level, our Senate level and our congressional level. We bring them in to hear what's going on in Raleigh. The second most important thing is to raise money. We cannot run this operation without funds. Therefore, I must spend 3 to 4 hours, and that will be increased this year, on the phone, calling people, making sure that we have the funds to make sure that we can fund the activities that we need to be a successful team. The third part of being a Democratic chair is to make sure that you have a leadership team and you bring your leadership team in and you discuss the issues from all aspects of life. There are 4 vice chairs to the leadership team: first vice, second vice, third vice, fourth vice, secretary, and a treasurer. And we all need to come together and be unified on the strategies and everything that we come before the group before we make a decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Eric? For those of y'all that are bringing questions up, thank you. We are going to have Leslie Carey. Leslie, where are you? Leslie's right here. She's the chairman of the 11th district. She's going to be collecting those. If you want to bring them to her, raise your hand again. That would be fine, but please wait until after the candidates have finished their questions. But thanks. Eric, you're up.
Thanks, David. And my favorite part about answering this question is I get to absolutely ensure that David is not a liar. Because by describing my leadership style, that leads me into the story that he promised you that I would tell you later. So that's where we're at now. I had just joined a brand new unit. I was the Deputy Operations and Plans Officer. I was a Lieutenant Colonel. We were in charge of 11 other units. That means in charge of those units were 11 other Lieutenant Colonels. And for about 70% of the folks, we all pretty much got along. It was collegiate, amicable, etc. But senior military officers are also type A personality and cutthroat competitive against each other. And so a few of these folks were a pain in my rear right off the bat. Right? First couple of phone calls, very contentious, getting up in my face, as much as you can over the phone. But with one of the guys, I said, stop. Here's what you need to know about me and how I see my role. I'm at your higher headquarters, yes, but you are a command-selected inspector instructor, which means that when you have a problem, you call me, I drop everything that I'm doing, and I resolve your problem. That's the kind of circular communication and leadership that I think we need here in our party. Listen to what's going on, make an assessment, and then provide a solution aggressively. That's what I do. And after I gave him that kind of little tidbit of my philosophy as his higher headquarters, he kind of gave a pregnant pause. And then he said, well, if that's your attitude, this will be great. The next thing I know, he invited me up to Chicago, and we actually spent 16 hours, 2 full work days, for him walking me through his program at his command. So I completely changed that relationship around. But with that kind of leadership here in the North Carolina Democratic Party, I think that's the kind of synergy that we can create across the board to give us some unity across the party. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Eva?
I'm kind of torn between questions 4 and 5. I think they're intertwined. I'll pick number 4. Everyone in this room, I would say raise your hand, but I'll trust you. I am an active dues paying member of at least 2 caucuses, okay? I believe that the 20-plus caucuses in the state of North Carolina that represent such people as, LGBTQ, African American Caucus, which I'm a member of, the new Formation Jewish Caucus. During COVID, I don't know where Tom went, but during COVID when I was volunteering for Tom and Matilda, I helped rebuild 4, maybe 5 chapters. I personally phone banked the entire Alamance chapter to get them where they could elect a president in time to come to an executive committee meeting where they could present the delegates, to present to Bobby, to have delegates on the congressional district committees. And I've been working for years, literally 3 or 4 years now, trying to just get representation of the caucuses on the congressional district committees because we need intersectionality. We need something that crosses county lines and district lines. You know, the senior Dems of North Carolina, at one point when I came on board, had maybe 30 chapters. It goes down and it goes up, right? Hey, Matilda. So the point is, building caucuses became my passion there for a minute, and I helped set up a pathway to put a Zoom link. And then anybody from anywhere in the state could, and if we could get 5 people in one county, we could form a chapter. And it is the same as forming a precinct. You need 5 human beings with a passion, whether it's in a precinct, or it's in a county, or it's membership in a caucus. And so again, I went up to one particular county chair a couple of years ago, and I said, "Hi, I'm Eva Lee from the Senior Dems. Would you like to have a Senior Dems caucus?" And the answer was, "No, we're good." And so the point of that is that the county chairs need to understand that the caucuses are intersectional, and that we need that passion, and we need that representation, and the caucuses would get representation on the plan of review if they were represented. So that's what we need to accomplish as we build a new Democratic Party.
Yvonne,
I already went. I went first.
you went first.
I can get my last 30 seconds out.
Okay. Well, good. Okay, folks, we're going to take a break for about 5 minutes because we are running late. It is 2:15.